It would not be an attempt to film this video without Ruby barking, but we are going to talk about the ASICS Gel Nimbus 27 today. Let's get into it. Good morning, YouTube. What's up, everybody? Hope you're safe and healthy and happy and doing okay. I hope your holiday season was great. I hope your 2025 is off to a great start. And as you can see, I do still need to take my Christmas decorations down. So you get one more video with the Christmas tree in the background. This was just placed in my lap. Here you go, ma'am. Do you mind? Okay. Anyway, today's gonna be a good video because we're talking about a shoe from a brand that I love in a category that I love. That brand is ASICS, the category is Max Cushion, and the shoe is the Gel Nimbus 27. I have been running in the Nimbus line for a very long time, like since the beginning of my channel. So I have tried quite a few Nimbus shoes, and they have also evolved quite a bit from the beginning of me having this channel. If I think back to recent memory, the 25 was my favorite Nimbus so far. I loved the cushion of it. It was incredibly soft, and I liked the upper. I just thought it was a really, really good shoe. And then ASICS came out with the 26 here, this mint green number. And I liked it, but I don't think I liked it quite as much. The upper was more of a knit construction. I felt like the foam was maybe a little firmer or didn't have as much of that cushy magic as I had hoped for and had in the 25. But now here today, we got the 27. Before we get to talking about the ASICS Gel Nimbus 27, I want to ask that if you're not subscribed to this channel, if you could please go and do so. Any subscription helps me continue this channel and help you guys out determining what the shoe for you might be. And if one video a week on YouTube is not enough for you, then go follow me on Instagram at @RunLikeKeller. I just recently started posting reels where I do my first run impressions of a shoe. So I just posted my Nimbus first run impressions reel. So go check that out while you're there and give me a follow as well at RunLikeKeller. Back to the Nimbus. Does this maintain the cushy goodness? Does it bring it back in a better way than the last two versions? That's what we're gonna peel back today. But first, of course, you gotta watch the run footage where I'll also have the specs. And one more thing before we get started, I do want to let you know that this shoe was sent to me by ASICS. However, they're not going to see this video before you. They can't tell me what to say, and all my opinions are always my own. Starting with the upper of the Gel Nimbus 27, ASICS is using an engineered mesh upper. In the 26, the material was a knit, and in the 25, I believe it was mesh. Well, here it is definitely mesh, and it's like a nice mix between what the 25 and the 26 was. It has a pretty streamlined construction. The material is definitely going to be protective, but it's not super thick. There are some ventilation holes throughout the forefoot and the midfoot of the shoe. And speaking of the midfoot, you do have some overlays here. We have two ASICS logos on both the medial and lateral side to give you some of that support. and in the back the heel counter is very sturdy. The tongue on this shoe is much like the 26. It's a stretchy knit material and it is gusseted, so it does definitely stay in place. The laces are very standard and there is absolutely no shortage of cushioning inside of this ankle collar. I tend to gravitate towards an engineered mesh over a knit upper any day of the week, and I definitely like that they went back to a mesh in the 27. I enjoyed the 25's upper. I thought it was very comfortable, but maybe it was a little bit thick. Then the Nimbus 26 had a knit upper, which was definitely thinner, but here it looks like they've taken that like thinness and that more streamlined characteristic of the 26 and managed to bring it back to a mesh like the 25. So I definitely am into that. It's extremely comfortable on the top of my foot. And yes, while I said there is some ventilation, it's not going to be the most breathable shoe in the whole wide world, but it does get the job done. I do feel a little bit of that chilly air passing through the top of this shoe right now. So maybe not the best thing right now, but it'll definitely be helpful in the summer when you want to take out this thicker shoe. Like I said, this is certainly a lot of padding in the ankle collar of the shoes. Sometimes that does cause me a little bit of heel slippage, but I didn't feel that at all. Turning the shoe over this way, I'd say it has an average amount of width in the midfoot. Perhaps a wider foot might struggle a bit, but what I did notice is that while it gets wider here in the forefoot, it does sort of come to a point at the top, so it does get a bit more narrow where your toes are. That didn't cause me a problem, but just something to watch out for if that sort of thing bothers you sometimes. I had no issues with hot spots, blisters, or irritation in the ASICS Gel Nimbus 27's upper, so it was a pass in my book. It's an improvement in my book from the 26, and I would like to thank ASICS for sending me this beautiful all-white colorway. All right, so let's talk about the midsole of the Nimbus 27. Here, ASICS is using a big old slab of Flight Foam Blast Plus Eco, which is a crazy long name for a foam, but that's what you got here, and there's even more of it than in the previous models of this shoe. ASICS did that to improve the plushness and softness under your foot, and also to aid with that, there is some pure gel in the heel of the shoe. That's where the gel comes from in the name. And there is also an Ortholite sock liner to just keep your foot extra protected. I definitely notice that extra plushness, especially from the 26. It's extremely soft. You feel it in every single step. No ground feel here, just an absolutely pillow-like experience under your foot. But the biggest takeaway I'd say from the 27's midsole is that yes, it does feel lighter than the previous two versions that I tried, but it also feels maybe like this foam is a little more responsive. So while I do think that it's more plush, softer, more protective, I also think it might be a little bit more lively as well. I wasn't getting that like sink in marshmallow experience where the foam just flattens out once your shoe or your foot rather hits it. I felt like that foam was talking back to me a little bit, being responsive and getting that energy and bounce back. So I really appreciated that from this foam, and it wasn't really something I was expecting necessarily. Sometimes these max cushion shoes can feel a bit cumbersome and just like big old shoes on your foot, especially for someone like me who already has a big foot. And while the shoe is big, I felt like it was more streamlined, it felt more compact, I didn't feel as clunky in it and cumbersome like I said, so that was also welcomed here. I didn't feel like the shoe in the midsole were wearing me. I felt like I was wearing the shoe and was more in control of the midsole. Really don't need more miles in the shoe to know that this is going to be the ultimate long run, like long slow distance running shoe for a lot of people. It's going to give you a ton of miles, a ton of life, and I am super impressed with how this midsole feels. I think that it is definitely better than the 26. This might be my favorite Nimbus so far. I thought it was the 25, but now that the 27 has come out, I think this might be it. The only two things I'd say about it are that I was getting a teeny bit of a hot spot towards the end of my run, my first run. It could just be the socks I wore. I felt it less on my second run, but definitely something I'm gonna look into as I continue testing this shoe just to make sure that it doesn't get worse or it doesn't happen again. And the other thing that I would say about it is that I would love for it to have more of a rocker situation to it. It is a little bit flat feeling in terms of the geometry, but otherwise it's a really smooth ride. But yeah, in conclusion, I'd say ASICS nearly perfected this midsole. Turning the shoe over to the outsole, we have ASICS Hybrid Grip Rubber. I don't know exactly what hybrid means. Maybe it's a mix of like ASICS Grip and AHAR rubber or something, but either way, we have a good amount of it here. We have some in the forefoot, we have some on the side of the midfoot, and we have some in the heel as well. I really tend to never have many issues with ASICS rubber, and here I think it's going to be the same sort of situation. I think the traction is really good. It grips onto the pavement. I don't have a ton of miles on this shoe yet, so it would be concerning if I did have wear on the traction pattern. So nothing yet, but I can't foresee there really being any issue. And even with the exposed foam here, I think it's going to hold up fine. So time will tell, but I don't foresee any real issues. The ASICS Gel Nimbus 27 will be available mid-January for $164.95, I believe, on runningwarehouse.com. I think you can pre-order this shoe. So if you're interested in doing that, I will put links in the description of this video. You can click those links and pick up your own pair. Keep in mind, it will be an affiliate link with Running Warehouse. Doesn't mean much for you, just helps out my channel so I can keep making these videos. Anyway, a question I often get from you all is, should I shell out the full price for the Nimbus 27 or should I get the discounted 26? I'm going to tell you, if you have the extra cash to part with, I'd get the 27. The 27 is just a better shoe all around to me. It's better than the 25. It's better than the 26. You got a better upper, a much better midsole, and just a more streamlined shoe that makes sense. I will certainly be wearing this lots more this winter, especially during Winter Grit, which just started and I am participating in, so that's super fun from Believe in the Run. Let me know, are you guys gonna shell out the money for the ASICS Gel Nimbus 27? Are you gonna pass on it? Did you like the 25 or the 26? Let me know all your Nimbus thoughts in the comments down below. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. Well, everyone, that concludes this video on the ASICS Gel Nimbus 27. If you enjoyed it, please like it down below and subscribe. And when you're done with all that, hit the notifications bell so you can find out every time I upload a new video. I mean, there is nothing cleaner, nothing better than an all-white shoe. I'm not ever gonna give up on this trend. I have another video for you next week, but in the meantime, get out there, get on the grind, and don't forget to run like heller. See you next time. Today, for me, is day 2 of Believe in the Run's Grit. I'm gonna run 101 miles in January, but just to get into a routine again. And also, let's be real, I want their cool gear that they give out for Grit. I mean, who doesn't?